Abortion rights have become a deciding issue in the run-up to the midterm elections. In the Kansas primaries just last month, where women accounted for a 70% spike in new voter registrations, an attempt to outlaw abortions in the state was flatly rejected after the Supreme Court reversal on Roe. One Democratic strategist says that the shift in election dynamics is unlike anything that he has seen in nearly 3 decades, noting the biggest surges in new voters registrations among women are in deep red states, Kansas, Idaho, Ohio, as well as critical battleground states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And joining me now, that strategist, Tom Bonnier, CEO of Target Smart, and NBC News Washington correspondent Yamiche Alcindor, anchor and moderator of PBS Washington Week, just back from the road speaking to some of those voters. Tom, to you first. There was also, of course, the New York upstate race there where abortion appeared to have helped the Democrat Pat Ryan win that upset upstate. Talk to us about what you are seeing specifically in this data right now, how abortion is changing everything.
It's really remarkable. I mean, as you mentioned, the Kansas results were really a surprise, I think, even to people like me who have studied these numbers for decades. And so we set out to figure out why. And as you said, what we saw was a huge surge in women registering to vote after Dobbs when you compare to before. In Kansas, as you said, 70% of the new registrants were women, but it's not just Kansas. It's really happening around the country, red states, blue states. In that New York 19 special election, women accounted for 58% of the early votes cast there. That's remarkable.
What other states, Tom, specifically, where are you watching this? I mean, where is the real impact? Presumably, you know, in 2020, obviously, suburban women in particular, they came out in droves and supported Joe Biden. Republicans felt like they were winning back some of the suburbs with the inflation, the economic challenges. But all of a sudden, it seems like those folks in particular are really coming out in droves, again, based on this issue, the feeling that a right was removed, was taken away.
Absolutely. When you look at who these women are and where they are, who are registering to vote since the Dobbs decision, they're overwhelmingly younger women. They're more in the suburbs and in urban areas. And when you look at partisan registration or modeled partisanship, they're overwhelmingly Democratic.
Yamiche, let me ask you about this. You were just on the road. You've been all over the place, but you're speaking to people about this very issue, and you're getting a better understanding about how this really is backfiring for those Republicans. Blake Masters in Arizona, the Senate candidate Republican, trying to sort of rewrite his views on abortion. Mehmet Oz has run into challenges on this as well, and that's just where we start. So what is the challenge that Republicans are facing, and what are you hearing as you speak to voters?
Well, one of the challenges that I'm seeing when I talk to Republican candidates who are running is they don't really want to talk about abortion. They want to talk about inflation. They want to claim that President Biden is wasting money and doing all these social programs that they don't believe in. So Republicans, in some ways, they won this big generational win, right? This culmination of the conservative movement to overturn Roe v. Wade. But now that they've actually got that what they wanted, they don't want to talk about it. And that's a telltale sign that they feel like maybe possibly they've overreached. And when I go out to Florida, Michigan, Ohio, all states that I've hit because I've been out on the road talking to people, I really do feel this new enthusiasm. You see it in the polls, but I see it on the ground when I'm talking to women. They really feel like this human right, this civil right is something that they have to fight for. And I've also been hearing from Republican women, especially young Republican women, who are saying they don't want to be in a generation where they're being told by the government what to do with their party, especially Republican women who say, I don't want big government. I didn't want big government in my schools. I didn't want big government anywhere else. And I certainly don't want big government in my doctor's office.
So this is the driver. Is this the motivator above all else? Economic issues. Republicans want to be the topic going into the midterms, but it seems for a lot of these voters, it's become a single issue in many ways.
For a lot of voters, abortion is the top issue, along with, I will say, when I talk to Democrats, the issue of the state of our democracy and election deniers.
Our poll showing that was the top issue just recently.
Certainly. That's what I'm hearing when I hear from people. If you're a Republican who really cares about this issue and is very worried, then abortion is your top issue, especially if you're going to be sort of changing your vote and maybe possibly voting for Democrat, which I've talked to a number of Republican women who are voting for the first time in their lives for Democrats. Of course, if you're a Republican who is sticking with the party, inflation and the economy is your number one issue.
So, Tom, let me ask you about those unknowns here, right? The economy obviously still has the potential to shift the dynamics. Democrats, Ron Klain, the chief of staff to the president, I think posted every day that gas prices are ticking down for the 70-plus, 80-plus day in a row right now. What are the sort of roadblocks that you're keeping an eye on over these next 2 months before those midterms that could, if anything can, potentially shake up the dynamic still?
Well, I think the biggest question here is, are these women who are registering to vote for the first time going to come out in November? I mean, indicators and past precedent would suggest yes, but there's still a lot of time left in this campaign. We have to keep in mind that just a month ago, this was a red wave election in the making, and it is, history benefits the Republicans here as the party out of power. So they have all of the advantages. As Yamiche said, they want to make this election about inflation. But these women are fired up. That'll be the big question. Do they come out in November?
Yeah, as evidenced by what happened in Kansas and in upstate New York, they are coming out and they are fired up right now. President Obama, who's going to be at the White House today, remembers the 2010 shellacking in the midterms. Joe Biden thinks that he's going to see a very different midterm this go around. Yamiche Alcindor, Tom Bonnier, we appreciate both you guys being right here.